Hello, hello. Okay. Alright, hey guys. Welcome to Skybound Prep. This is the reading section, lesson 1, focusing on the reading passages. First of all, we're going to discuss some major changes to the new SAT. All the questions are now passage-based, meaning there are no more sentence completion questions to worry about. And the type of subjects each passage covers are the same in all tests. So, the new critical reading section will consist of one passage dealing with the U.S. history, or U.S. and world history, or literature, not bad. Two passages dealing with history and social studies, and two passages dealing with science. Keep in mind the science passages will be similar to those of the ACT, and they have data interpretation questions, and you're going to have to analyze charts and graphs. So those are some major changes to the reading passage. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some general approaches to the reading section. So when you first go to or you can also follow along with these notes. If you scroll down on the Skybound website, uh, and you can go along with it here. But anyways, you first of all, when you go to the passage, you want to skim over the questions and plot them accordingly next to the line of the passage. These questions will specify where you can find them in the passage. Plotting questions will allow you to focus your attention to portions of the passage where you can find important information for each questions. And then you also want to underline vocab that is mentioned in the question. So we're going to show you a little example or demonstration on how to do this with the College Board Practice Test 1. We're going to go to the first reading passage. Okay. So as you can see here, before reading the passage, you want to skim through the answer choices and look for any line-based questions. Now we're going to look through here. Question 3, questions 7, 8, 9. Keep in mind the ones that have lines in the answer choice aren't really line-based just because they are evidence-based and they rely on the question before. So you want to find the evidence to each question here. But once you have identified the ones that are line-based, you want to go ahead and go to the passage and plot them. So, for example, like number 3 says, as in line 165. So, as in line 1, we directly mark line 1, question number 3, so you're at a 3 here. Write question 3 and circle directly because that's what you're looking for. This helps a lot when you go through your answer choices later, so you don't have to refer back to the passage too much. You already have it marked, so you can cut some time through that. Quick and easy strategy there. Second of all, you want to read over the passage carefully, underlining key information that helps you understand the passage tone and main idea. Box proper nouns, dates, and time indicators. Before you start doing anything in the passage, make sure you read this little excerpt here, so you just know what the basically what the general summary or context of the passage is on. But you also want to box important dates, times, names. Third, as you come across plotted questions, read 2 sentences above and below the plotted area and then answer the related question. So, as I said earlier, you're going to have to plot where the question is asking. So, for example, if it's like question 3 asks line 65, you don't want to only read this one sentence that has directly in it. You want to read about 2 lines, even maybe 3. Usually we start where the paragraph begins and maybe to the end of the paragraph to give the general context of the word directly or any vocab, any content. So yeah, make sure you don't only read the line that's given. For once you finish with the passage, begin answering questions that you were not able to answer on the first run through the passage. Save my idea questions for last. Correct. Alright. So, like I just said, you want to answer all of the line-based questions first before you even touch the main idea questions. So, we'll go over the order later when we actually work on this practice passage. Okay. Read through each answer choice for each question and underline 2 to 3 words for each choice that seems to sum up the general idea of the answer. Underline only what separates things. Look for patterns within them. Do not choose the answer choice that looks right except for one word. Be wrong, half right is out wrong. So when you read through the answer choice, make sure you underline keywords that are wrong. And also, if one wrong or one wrong little phrase occurs in the answer choice, it means the whole answer is wrong. And go ahead and cross it out by crossing out the answer choice. 6. Any tone shifts within the passage will be reflected by the first and last sentence or paragraphs. If you are confused about any tone shifts, then refer back to the first and last sentence or even the first and last paragraph. That can help you regain your bearing. So, if you need help understanding what the tone or even the content of the passage, you just read the first and last paragraph, maybe the first sentence or two, last sentence or two. That helps you really understand the passage in a general context, but that helps for finding tone. Try to pace yourself for the new SAT. The entire reading section is, in this case, is 55 minutes, 52 questions. So that gives you around 1.25 minutes for each question. So make sure you keep your timing good, and also you want to practice to get your timing correct for each passage so you don't run over time. And hopefully you can finish earlier to check your answers. So now we're going to move on to the question and answering tips. So first things first, you want to read the entirety of each answer choice. The answer choice must be 100% correct to be the right answer choice. Even if half is true, if the other isn't, then it's still correct. So like I said earlier, half wrong is all wrong. Half right is all wrong still. Because one word can change the whole meaning of an answer choice. So make sure every word in the answer choice is correct to make the whole thing correct. And the key examples of these are that you can cross out are words that most likely are incorrect. And these words are absolute language, extreme language, and intensifying language. Here's a list of a few, but you can look them up on Google, and just you have to memorize them or just notice them in the answer choices. And you can usually just cross them out by when you see it, just because the answer choice is too extreme in their wording, which is not usually what the SAT tests. Yeah, you don't want having too extreme answer choice, too like criticism. That's a pretty harsh word. All, never, every, all these. So if you need help with these, just search them up. You can find a list, try to memorize them, recognize them in the passage. Next, watch out for the correct information that doesn't answer that particular question. Make sure the answer choice only pertains to the section of the passage that the question specifies. Correct answer choices that address the wrong section of the passage are wrong answer choices. So when you're given line-based, your answer only refers to the lines around there, like above or below. But make sure it doesn't refer to another part of the paragraph or another part of the passage, because usually it's incorrect and you only want to read where in context given, because that's usually where the answer is found. The answer choices that match your opinion but don't answer the question are incorrect. So don't make sure to not bring your opinion to the test. And answer the questions solely on questions, and their answers are often similar. Use these questions to answer the others. For example, if you see different questions mentioning the isolationist nature of wolves, then they're probably the right ones. So you can usually look at the answer choices and see which ones are similar, which ones are not similar, and the ones that are similar usually are incorrect because they want to have a concrete answer, and only one can be that. So you can usually narrow it down to two answer choices and then base it off of the text. If the question mentions multiple lines, read the entire paragraph. So like I said, you want to read a few lines above and below. In this case, if they mention multiple lines, read the whole paragraph to get the whole context. Simple as that. If the question mentioned, or if the question does not specify any lines, leave it for last. In general, you can look at the introduction, topic sentence, and first and last paragraph. So, main idea, term questions. Just look at the first, last paragraph. You can get the term through those, and that's basically it for main idea questions. Leave them for last, and just look at the beginning and ending paragraph. I hope you understand them. Let's see. Introductions will match the main idea and tone of the specific area. So if you're stuck between the two, match the main idea or tone to that specific answer choice to see if you can um, get the correct answer. So if you know the passage is a positive passage, and let's say the question asks about the main idea, make sure the main idea is fitting the same tone or the same tone of the passage, which is positive. So you can cross out all the negative ones. So matching tone with answer choice is really important. Um, let's see. When deciding between two answer choices, return to the passage and identify any words or phrases the answer choice to share with the passage. So when you decide between the two answer choices, you usually can narrow down to two just through process of elimination. And once you get to that point, you basically want to go back to the passage and look for an exact answer through the words because, as I said earlier, all the words should be in the passage or like the answer should be clearly stated in the passage somewhere. You just gotta look clearly enough. So make sure to not base your answers off opinions and base it solely on the text given. If you're stuck on any questions that is a part of a pair, ask for evidence from the passage. Start in the second question and eliminate any answer choices or the section of the passage do not support the first question. Use the remaining answer choices of the section or of the passage to answer the first question. So if you are stuck, you can probably read other answer choices and base your answer choice off that. Um, this is usually just thinking about it to see which ones are similar, which ones are different. When answering meta-idea and tone questions, mark the tone of each of the answer choices. Answer choices will, with tones that do not match that of the passage can be marked out. So make sure, once again, with main idea and tone questions, just mark the answer choices, and you can most likely mark out the ones that don't match the tone of the passage. Alrighty, vocab questions are not strictly from the passage. So when you're answering vocab questions on the NeoCT, it is helpful to read the surrounding sections. So again, just read in context, few lines above and below lines given. You should always use that to answer your questions. So let's see. Now we will start using or looking at a special case, which is the double passage. The double passage is a little bit different, but we use similar strategies. So we can go look at that and just practice those. Alright, here we have practice test. Okay. So as you can see here, we have a double passage. You can tell because it says passage 1, passage 2. The first approach we'll do is to plot the questions in plot questions in both questions of the four. Also indicate which passage each question deals with. So we're looking at passages, we're plotting the questions as always. We're going to look at all these. And it seems like all these are related to passage 1, so you just mark a 1 next to all these. 1, 1, 1. This one's also 1. This one seems to be with 2, so 2, 2, And these are actually all both, so you want to write B, 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 B. Good. So, once you've done that, you pause the questions. You want to read passage 1 and answer all the questions pertaining to those. So, alright, read passage 1, all these. Now, before you start working on passage 2, you can actually go to the both questions and eliminate what you already know, given from passage 1. After that, you want to go to passage 2, read out the questions, answer all the questions pertaining to passage 2, then answer all the both questions. Simple as that, just a change up in order of plotting, answering, or plotting, reading, answering, then answering the both questions, and then reading and then answering the rest. It's quite simple, so just follow that order and you should be able to do double passages as easily as single passages. Now we're just going to have a few small tips. For about every 9 reading questions, we will have approximately 11 minutes to complete them. So get your timing right and always practice. For the new CT, there's no guessing penalty, so never leave a question blank. That's given though, just don't. If even if you don't have time, answer anything. Always just make sure you answer the questions to leave it blank. If you're having trouble deciding between answer choices, try and have what you think the answer is on in your head and match it with the answer choice closely. So if you see a vocab word in context, try to think of a word that you know that matches it, then try to match it with the answer choice. It seems to work for me quite a bit. You find yourself short on time, then you can scout the passages, and then based on that, you can order them from easiest to hardest. Usually, there's a history passage that's the hardest, so you usually want to leave the history passage for last. But keep in mind, you don't need to do this if your timing is fine just on the first run. And again, watch your time. There's been a huge amount of time on the question. If you have trouble on it, circle the question, flag it, and you can hopefully go back to it later. But also, if you're not able to finish it, then just circle a random answer choice because you never want to leave a question blank because there's no skipping penalty. So those are some tips. I just went through some single passage and double passage tips. So now we're going to apply the single passage tips to the first reading passage in the College Board test. All right. Let's see. All right. So here we have passage 1 of the first practice test. So, like I said, we're going to plot the questions. We actually talked about this at the beginning. So we're going to mark question 3, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is actually connected to 9, so we can answer that as well. So question 3, as written lines 165. So I showed you how to do this. We're going to go through lines 1, circle directly, mark question 3, go to line 65, mark 1, mark 3, um, circle directly, and you want to read that much. First paragraph, because you want to know the general context of it. So read that real quick. Okay, then we go to line 65, and you want to read about that much. As you can see, 2 lines above, 2 lines below. So after you read that, you kind of see something similar between these two parts of the passage. In fact, you see the same word used, a go-between. You see a go-between here, and you see a go-between here. So what does a go-between basically mean? We'll see. As you know, the 165 directly means, frankly, not exactly in the context here. Confidently, you cannot judge his emotions because it's not described here. D, without mediation, that is exactly what a go-between Seems to mean here go between skipping a step. That's what he does here. So the answer is C. Without precision, that's not the case here either. So the answer is C. Without mediation. As you can see, I looked at both parts. I read a little bit below, found the connection, and got the answer immediately. So make sure you try to do that. Now we go to the next one. Let me prove the first paragraph. It didn't say a line, but it said the first paragraph. Um, Funny thing, we actually read the first paragraph earlier through the question number 3. So you can quickly read it again. As you can see, he questions himself quite a bit. Not exactly why, but that gets you a general idea. In the passage, Akira addresses sorry. The main purpose of the first paragraph is to describe a culture. That's nothing described here. It's actually questioning some event. Criticizing a tradition. Criticizing is a harsh word. It's negative. That's not a negative part of that passage. That's a questioning suggestion. It may seem like he's questioning something, but there's no suggestion that's mentioned through the first paragraph, so there's not really evidence there. But we can leave that open. D. Analyze the reaction. This is more objective, it's general, and through his questioning, they're actually rhetorical, meaning he's analyzing a certain situation. We're not sure what yet, but the answer is D because it's a better answer than C, and it's nothing wrong about it. Number 8, as you know, it's to form most moving into, you want to go to line 2, mark form, and read it. As how do you follow form? How do you ask his mother to speak to his father, the parts go between. Um, so like I said, you want to think of a word or another vocab word that similar to form, then you want to match it with answer choice. So whatever you think form would be here, I would think it would mean like a procedure. They talk something about a culture in the passage. So let's think about something about a procedure in a culture. Appearance, that's not a procedure. A custom, that is actually something you follow in a tradition, and it's similar to procedure because you follow custom. So that seems to be right, and it actually is the right answer. How do you look at structure and nature, which do not match the context of the word? So the answer is B, custom. Next, you go to number 9. What is Kira sees me with choose a matter of urgency? In this one, this is a straight up context question, so content question. Go to line 32, matter of urgency. So what is this matter of urgency? Like I said, you want to read above and below, but this one's kind of tricky because you actually have to read quite a bit more below. Um, in fact, if you read a little bit more below, you'll find that the answer is given to you right here. I have an opportunity to go to America as a dentist for Seattle Japanese community. That's exactly why he had this matter of urgency. So if you notice that you can't find the answer just from the beginning, you might want to read a little bit more down to hopefully find what the answer is, because this one's based solely on content. So they give you the answer right there. You're just gonna find it. So as I just stated, he went to a new country, got a new job. You sure it's the parents of disapprove? Nope. He worries to reject him? Nope. Even offered a job at another country. Let's just see. Simple as that, read in the passage, just gotta find it. And 10 is actually able to be done with this question because it's evidence based. So, where do you find that? We actually found it in line 42 for line 42. Answer is B. Simple as that. Evidence based questions are simply just looking at where you found your answer because it's stated clearly in the text. Now we've done all the evidence-based questions. We're going to go ahead and read it, or not evidence-based questions, the line-based questions. I'm sorry, and then you actually want to read the whole thing and answer the main idea questions and the ones that aren't line-based. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it on the screen. You may pause. You may, or I'm just going to sit here for a few minutes. You can hopefully read it. I'll scroll down a few minutes, and then we're going to start. They relate to main idea and are non-passenger based, non-line based. Okay, if you need more time, just pause the live stream. Leave it here. Alrighty. So we're going to start answering the questions, assuming that you read the passage. Which choice best describes what happens in the passage? This is clearly a main idea question. So, keywords that make this answer wrong. One character argues with another character intrudes the wrong word choice here. That's not what happens. If the choice is wrong, press out which press out A. One character receives a surprising request from another character. This is pretty general answer and seems to be correct. But we're gonna look down. One character reminisces about choices she has made over the years. Reminisces, not exactly. A story is told, and that's not the main idea. So one character criticizes another character for pursuing an unexpected course of action. Criticizing is a pretty negative tone. That's not the whole from the passage. Answer is B. Which choice best describes the developmental pattern of the passage? So given that you read the passage, a careful analysis of traditional practice. This is actually the opposite of he asked her to marry him, but this is not traditional because he's doing it abruptly. So that's wrong. A detailed depiction of a meaningful encounter. This is a meaningful encounter, and it is also quite detailed, so that could be possibly correct. The defender responds to a series of questions. That's incorrect. A series of questions may have occurred in the first paragraph, but that's not the whole developmental pattern of the passage. That's only maybe the first paragraph or a few paragraphs after that. A cheerful recounting of an amusing anecdote. Nothing amusing about this anecdote. It's more serious. Neutral answer is B. We went through 4. Which reaction does Akira most fear from Chi? So, this question, if you read the passage, you should recall that right here, we have an understanding. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. So he's fearing something, and it actually seems to be right here. His candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. So what matches that? Rewording it basically. She will consider the proposal inappropriate. That is seems like they were correct answer. She will mistake his earnestness for immaturity. That's not correct because we can't assume it's immaturity. C should consider his unexpected visit and imposition. She never really expected the visit anyway, so she wouldn't know. She'll underestimate the sincerity of his emotions, i.e., nothing about emotions here. Most correct answer there. And this is evidence-based, or where is it clearly stated in the passage? It's clearly stated in lines 63. So right here, 63, 64, answer C. In the passage, Akira addresses she with you look up, you can see there's points of their interaction, such as he bowed. There's also a point where he calls him madam. This shows this kind of attitude toward her, shows respect, um, affection, nope. Objectivity, nope. Amusement, nope. Respect is actually stated here clearly, and that's the word I thought of based on what I read. So the answer is D. So again, all your answer choices should be based on the text, not your opinion, and they also can be backed up by the text as seen through evidence-based questions and reading in the passage specific areas that make it correct. So we actually went through every question in this passage, and that hopefully you can use our tips. Remember to pot questions, and that is about it. Um, if you have any questions, type it in the Skybound chat. If not, then we are done here. Have a nice rest of the day. It is.